Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. I'm Abby, and here with my beautiful co-host Ashley, we are beyond excited to explore Tolkien's world with you, bringing magic and lore and insights to make Middle-earth so fascinating.
This season, we're diving into the Unfinished Tales, which, if you don't know, is a collection of hidden gems and deleted scenes that expands the world of Middle-earth that we all know and love. If you've read these tales before, stick with us. We might uncover something new or reveal connections that maybe you hadn't noticed before.
Or this is your first time hearing these tales like me. Fantastic. That's awesome. Together, we will discover each tale and talk about what makes it unique.
So wherever you are, whether you're on the go, cozy in your own little hobbit hole, join us for an epic journey through the Unfinished Tales. Let's go! Oh. Woo! How are you today, Abigail?
I'm good. I mean, I'm going on day 10 of my husband being out of town, so I'm like single mom in it. Like,
fun.
We're doing that.
Barely hanging on then.
Yeah. It was like, I'll just give you a glimpse of like one of my days that happened. So on Thursday, I don't know if I told you this already, but I dropped the kids off at school at like 7:55 or 8 o'clock. And then I had to take my youngest son and me, and we went to our art studio because we had to work. Like I had to work our family business for like till 9:45, and then I had to get back in the car, and I got to go to the post office to ship out all of my packages that I had made, and then I had to drive half an hour to my son's swimming, and then we had that for half an hour, and then I had to drive half an hour home, and that was about like 11:30ish. And I had to hurry up and put him down for a nap so I could wake him up at 12:45 to get him in the car again to go get my two oldest, because my oldest had a doctor's appointment, and since my husband is here, I had to take both of my kids out of school because I had no one to pick up my daughter at the end of school, so I just had to take both of them out. And they get in the car, and we have an hour drive to his doctor's appointment, which was at 2, and they got in the car at 1, so we had to like book it down there. And they both got in the car, and they said, "Mom, what's wrong with Oakley's the youngest? What's wrong with Oakley?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And I looked behind me because I had just taken him straight out of bed. He was still so sleepy, and he was like wrapped up in a blanket. I put him in his car seat, and then they get in the car, and they're like, "What's wrong with Oakley?" And I was like, "Huh?" And I turn around, and he's completely covered in hives. So I'm like, cool. And I'm like, "Well, we're going to the doctor anyway, so maybe he can see you just for a little bit." I had no idea where these hives came from. He still has them today. So we rushed down to my son's doctor's appointment, and then when we get there, he has some complications with his blood pressure for something. They had to take his blood pressure 5 times because the first time he should have been hospitalized. The doctor's like, "I don't know if that's reading right. He would be like dead." I was like, "I don't know." And so like they made him drink like a full bottle of water, like lay down and all this stuff, and they had to take it 5 times, and it was like finally okay range. They're like, "Yeah, okay, you didn't have to go to the hospital today." And I'm like, cool. And so that kind of like says, and then we had to do the rest of this appointment we were actually there for, which was for other things. And then my son we had to set up an appointment for him right after that so he could look at my son who had hives covering him. And he also did not know where they came from. And I was like, cool. And then we had to jump back in the car and drive my daughter. So that was like, his appointments started at 2. We had 2 appointments, so weirdness in between. And then my daughter's ballet started at 4, so we had to get him back in the car and then like rush to ballet. And then we get home and I'm like trying to do dishes, trying to make dinner. And then my daughter's done an hour and a half after that. So we had to go get her. And then we come home and we have dinner and then we go to bed.
And then you pass out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I did it.
You did it. I don't know how you do it.
Yeah.
My sister-in-law also has a husband, my brother, who works out of state for like days at a time. And she has freaking 4 kids. And I have no idea how, because they're all doing stuff. It's not like they're homebodies like I am. Like they're like, this one does this activity, and this one does this activity, and this one does this activity. And like they're all different. I'm like, how? What? Like, wonder women, all of you. I don't know how you do it. I just have one, and I'm like, I'm great. I'm doing great. I need the structure back though. I like the structure. I
will say I have, that term. It's like you're juggling a lot of balls in the air. Plates in the air, and you let some of them fall. Like, the ones I've let fall was I did pull out a lot of our paper plates this time. Like, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna not have to deal with cleaning dishes, and that's okay with me because that's rare. Like, we really never eat on paper plates, and my son was like, "Why are we eating on paper plates?" Because that's not a thing we do. And I'm like, class. Violent has been reached. I was like, I am giving myself some grace. I'm allowing myself to use paper plates so I don't have to worry about putting the dishwasher. So you're welcome for food on the slopes.
Have you ever seen that thing where it's like the qualities of a good wife, and it's like exercises regularly, has a clean house, has the laundry done, has the finances in order, has like meals prepped, and it's like pick 2.
Yeah,
you can only get 2 of those. You can't. Yeah,
your children are alive and happy.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if you want.
Yeah. We're only one person. I don't know how you moms do it out there.
And also only one car.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of fun. But my mom has been helping a lot. I will say that. Helping it first. My mom has been helping you, which I'm very grateful.
Okay.
Anyway.
Anyways, to talk about Vulcan. Yeah. Túrin character. Would you rather a Túrin as a baby or an Oakley as a baby? I mean, Oakley is so happy.
I do love my happy, smiley baby. I've got his Life version. Oakley's that for me. Oakley's that little girl version of that for me.
Yeah, I could see it. Abby sent me a video last night that made me literally laugh out loud and just like, aw, he's so adorable. And then I showed it to Lizzie, and then she laughed out loud and was, aw, Oakley.
He's been reenacting movies a lot lately, and he's reenacted a scene from Enchanted for Ashley.
Favorite ones to reenact. I don't know why.
It's pretty good.
Whenever I try and get my daughter, so if you're not a mom of little children and don't know what scene we're talking about, is when the squirrel is like pretending, or chipmunk is pretending to be the evil stepmother or whatever, and it's like, Apple, and it's like, thank you, and eats cute. I literally I use that all the time when trying to get Lizzie to eat something new. Lizzie, will you please try this? It's cute.
It's cute. Oh, so cute.
Anyway, so what do you remember of where we last left Túrin and Beleg actually was in the last episode, wasn't he?
Yes. So that was the super sad episode that reminded me very much of Anakin and Obi-Wan Kenobi, when Anakin's like, you can't help me anymore. And he's like, what are you talking about? I love you like a brother son. don't do this. Don't run away because you're mad or, think nobody loves you or something like that. And I'm like, no, you don't know anything about my life. And then we see all of this, he's living with the wolf man or something. The wider
Gwadith, the wolf.
And
the outlaws.
The outlaws. And they're very, I think I called them the pirates from Pirates of the Caribbean, the scallywag crew of weird guys. But the leader was making some bad choices. And he got killed. Troy killed him. And so he's the new kind of, I would say.
Yeah.
And which we're also oh no, you need a better support system, not just these weirdos.
Yeah.
But then even the weirdos were we can change, we can be good men again. And which honestly, I'll believe it when I see it,
for sure.
We'll see how this goes. And then so Peleg was
trying to find Túrin. Yeah.
And he stumbles upon, which I think I'm also it could have been better. You could have done a better job of stumbling upon them, if I were to say, you're an elf. They're dopey men. You know what I'm saying? I feel he could have gotten the sneak up on them a lot better, but
yeah,
they caught him and they started torturing him. Which was
that's what you do with elves, apparently.
And they started torturing him, and they tied him to a tree, right, or something like that. And he was about to die, and Túrin comes in last minute, which is very coming back from when he's giving the same feeling of when Peleg did that for him when he was on trial. Came in last minute.
Oh yeah.
No, don't do that. And
I object.
Túrin is very angry. Yeah, very angry that they've been torturing his. It's the big remember the Big Brother Big Sister program? It's that. It's big.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
they're role models.
Yeah, Túrin is very angry, and so he sets him free, or I don't remember. But he's okay, you can come home now with us. We can go back to where the
Menegroth. Or yes, yeah.
No, not we can go back. He's no. No.
I don't want it.
I don't want to do that. And then in your head, you're Túrin?
Yeah.
Come on, man. And then he's so mean to him. He's so...
And then he's he's so mean to him. He's actually, I think I should get an apology from the people of Doriath because I didn't do anything wrong. And you know what? I think the king should do it on his knees. He just gets very, pompous about it, and he feels very judged by Peleg, which I'm Peleg is not judging you. He just wants better for you, and I don't think that's wrong.
Yes.
But then Túrin's but you know what? I have missed you. Would you want to just, hang out with us as outlaws? I mean, I feel you could fit right in. And Túrin's, and Peleg's
You seem great. He's oh. And he looks over, and one of them's picking his nose, and the other one's eating a piece of a tree, a stick or something. And he's they seem lovely, dear, but
it has to pass.
Oh.
Yeah. So
and then he's mean and rude, and he's just go away. You don't know anything about my life.
Yeah. Who are you to judge me? You don't know men. He's I'm a lot older than you, sir. I know plenty about men. And then he's oh, whatever happened with that elf maiden who like defended me at the trial. I guess I owe her some a thank you or something. Should I send her a gift basket? And why was she my friend? Why did she like actually help me? And yeah, Beleg's like, for reals? Because she was like your best friend when you were little. Why would I be friends with an elf maiden? Like Beleg just like gives them like, really?
That was
maybe because she's something to teach you. I don't know.
Chat. That one made me mad. I'm like, what are you talking about, Túrin? What are you talking about? Like, I'm so confused on why you're being so rude right now. Like, these people are beneath you.
Mm-hmm. So Beleg's like, yeah, I'm going to have to pass on that offer to join you because there's people who actually need my help because apparently you don't need my help. And I'm going to help fight the orcs, which you should be doing as well. But, you know, I'm not trying to judge you. So if you need me, I'll be in Dimbar. Okay, bye. And Túrin's just like, fine, go. So yeah, he's literally the worst. Yeah. So Túrin, not a huge fan of Túrin this episode. So that's basically where we left things off.
Kind of.
So Túrin. Yes. Okay. So this section, before we start it, I want to reference a footnote that Tolkien made. So remember when we were discussing when Beleg left Doriath and we were like, wait, isn't this where he got the creepy sword, Anglakel? Like, where is that? How come they're leaving that part out? Because that sword is like kind of important for the storyline. And it's also like kind of interesting. So we thought it happened then, but apparently Beleg goes back now to Doriath and gets the sword and also the lembas from Melian. And it just kind of references it in this weird footnote. And then he's like, there's no other text to supplement this, so the passage is omitted here. Moving on. Like, it's just like, that's okay. I felt like that was an important part, but okay. Yeah. It was literally one of those, like, see the Silmarillion page, blah, 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 for like for the final piece.
Listen, I've got a headache today. I'm just not.
Yes.
Your own research things.
So with that piece missing, we're just gonna apparently just gloss over that and just consider this footnote taking care of that part. And then we are going to move on to a new section, which is called Of Mîm the Dwarf, which might spells. Yeah. So at this time, things aren't going great for Túrin and his gang of outlaws. For one, apparently it's really rainy during this time, which of course kind of makes things just look and feel more miserable, unless you're from the Pacific Northwest and rain's just like Tuesday. It doesn't rain every day in Washington, okay, but it rains enough. And you know, the true Washingtonians and the true Pacific Northwesterners, we do not carry umbrellas unless we have to, and we just use the hood on our jackets. That's what we do. It's how we roll. Anyway, the other reason things aren't going so great is that more and more orcs are coming as far south as to, you know, almost get to their territory where they are at, because they're just getting more and more bold with that that pass not being covered by the sword and the bow, or the dragon helm and the bow, the strong bow. So, quote, there was little safety or rest, and the company were more often hunted than hunters. Ooh. So they're not striving right now. So with the elements and the orcs ganging up on Túrin, he's like, you know what? Life on the run in the wild may not be all it's cracked up to be. And he says, quote, and it seemed to him that their lives might well be bettered. I must find some secure refuge, he thought, and make provision against winter and hunger. Like, I don't know why this sounds around.
It's like, this sucks.
Yeah. Like every little kid who runs away from home and hasn't thought it through, like, wait, I have to find my own food and my own shelter? There isn't just like a free house I can have? There's no like 7 dwarves looking for a roommate or something?
I have not thought this through.
Yeah. So as Túrin and his gang are wandering through the wild looking for better lodgings, one day they're literally the shelter that they have right now is a holly thicket, which I can't imagine is very comfortable. Have you ever been around a holly bush? It is pointy and it hurts.
It's like razor blades.
That is all the shelter they have. Yeah, that is all the shelter they have from the rain for that day. Now, remember, these outlaws are very vigilant. They always have scouts and watchmen around, which is a good thing because all of a sudden, one of the watchmen alerts the outlaws that there's something nearby. Quote, they saw 3 hooded shapes, gray-clad, going stealthily among the stones. They were burdened each with a great sack, but they went swiftly for all that.
We've told the story before.
Yes. I'm like wondering how much you remember of the story. So
Let me tell you, I was literally thinking the other day, I was like, what's that weird name for that dwarf that we were talking about?
It's Mîm. Mîm. So Túrin and his gang see these random shapes, quote unquote, with great sacks. And Túrin just yells at the shapes, stop there. And his outlaws just go running after him. And it says in the book, like hounds. Oh, cool. They're totally under your control, Túrin, I'm sure. But the mysterious shapes, shockingly, just keep running. They don't listen to Túrin and, they don't stop when someone's running after them like hounds.
Who would have thought?
So Androg, remember, he's the jerk face guy that was mean to Beleg the most and who is just a jerk. He shoots some arrows after the group of shapes. And 2 of the mysterious shapes manage to escape into the darkness. But one of the shapes appears to have like a bigger and heavier sack, and he's a lot slower than the others. So the outlaws are easily able to catch up to this one, and they grab it and they throw it down, because that's what you do, apparently.
Sad.
Yeah. Quote, though he struggled and bit like a beast.
Sad.
But Túrin came up and rebuked his men. Good job, Túrin. What have you there? He said. What need to be so fierce? It is old and small. What harm is in it? Like, come on, guys.
It's a little guy.
Yeah. But then, in typical Androg fashion, he says, it bites, said Androg, showing his hand that bled.
Amazing.
He says, it is an orc. It bit me. It is an orc or of orc kin. Kill it. It deserved no less for cheating our hope, said another who had taken the sack. There is nothing here but roots and small stones. Like, what? He bit me and there's nothing in his coal sack? No presents? What?
So, have they ever seen a dwarf before?
I don't know. But if you hold on 1 second, Túrin knows what a dwarf is. He says, nay, said Túrin, it is bearded. It is only a dwarf, I guess. Let him up and speak. So I'm not sure if the menfolk have. They don't often, have deals together. But maybe, Túrin did in his wanderings. Who knows? Or maybe it's just like, oh, it's small and it has a beard. Must be a dwarf.
Like, is it just from storybooks? Has he met one in real life? Like,
I doubt it myself. Because as we know, Thingol doesn't really like dwarves. So I don't see him meeting one in Doria until later, obviously. Yeah, that is exactly how he dies. Yes. But I'm just saying, like, it's not like he was on friendly terms with them before. So they would have been down around Doriath all the time. And I don't see them coming to Hiflum or Dorlomin or, I'm not, it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I'm just not seeing that as a likely story. My bet would just be, I've heard of these things. They're small and they have beards. Obviously a dwarf.
He like pulls on his beard. Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah. So Androg, I don't know why I hate him so much, especially this chapter. He's like, he just wants to kill everything. Like, it's totally an orc. Let's kill it.
He hasn't proven himself to be a good guy, so.
Yeah. And then the other guys are like, yeah, let's kill it because it doesn't even have any cool stuff. All it has is like some roots and like rocks and stuff. It's lame.
I got a rock.
I got a rock. And as this dwarf, he manages to scramble away from the outlaws, and he somehow sees that Túrin is the one to negotiate with here, because he falls on Túrin's feet, begging for his life, saying, quote, I am old and poor, only a dwarf, as you say, and not an orc. Mîm is my name. Do not let them slay me, lord, for no cause, as would the orcs.
Oh, but if he's like very ballad. Is my favorite of the dwarfs.
Yeah, he is pretty fun. So, in case you don't remember from the Silmarillion, it doesn't explain it here very well, so I'm just going to take the quick side quest here and explain that Mîm is not your typical dwarf. He belongs to a race called the Petty-dwarfs. Not a ton is known about them except what I found, and I found the best explanation at lotr.fandom.com. Where they say the petty dwarves were dwarves of several houses, exiled for reasons untold in very ancient times during the Peace of Arda. So, like the beginning, like maybe moon times, maybe before that, definitely not before, or definitely before men. And it says they were the first to cross the Blue Mountains in the First Age and established strongholds in Beleriand before the building of Nogrod and Belagost in the Blue Mountains. Remember, those are like the two main elf or dwarf cities in Beleriand. And they were around before the elves arrived. They delved the very ancient settlements of Nargothrond. Remember, that's Captain Beleriand, Nargothrond, Finrod's home, and Amon-Rûd, which we'll talk about in a minute. But they dwindled before the Noldor returned to Middle-earth. So sometime in between, so they were even before the moon then, because the moon appeared when they were coming across the Helcarax. So after the elves awoke, because remember, Iluvatar didn't want dwarves born before the elves, but
they literally pushed them to the side, like, us first.
Pretty much so. But kind of around their time. But they had dwindled, they were kind of dying out. I find the weird instance of the exiling being kind of funny. Like, it's weird that dwarves would exile other dwarves in so much that there's enough of them to have a whole different race of themselves.
Yeah. Maybe such a time ago.
Yeah.
Deal with what they got.
The Sindar
multiplied.
Yeah. The Sindar elves, who is one of the groups of elves who didn't go to Valinor, not yet acquainted with dwarves, first thought that petty dwarfs were animals and hunted them. Not until the dwarves of the Blue Mountains established contact with the Sindar did the latter realize what the petty dwarfs were. Afterwards, they were mostly left alone, but not before the petty dwarfs came to hate all elves with a passion.
Well, can't really blame those.
Yeah. So back to our conversation with Mîm and Túrin. He says, don't kill me like for no reason like the orcs would. And, Túrin, he doesn't like being compared to an orc. And his words do stir some pity in his heart. And he says, quote, poor you seem, Mîm, though that is strange in a dwarf. But we are poorer, I think, houseless and friendless men. If I said that we do not spare for pity's sake only, being in great need, what would you offer for ransom? Like, oh my gosh, Túrin, you can't just call out a dwarf for not being rich like other dwarfs. You just can't call people poor like that. But, I mean, it is kind of odd that this kind of fluke of a dwarf, because, yeah, they are known for being kind of rich in their cities and having good trade and good things to prosper with. So, yeah, it is kind of weird to see these kind of nomadic dwarves that don't have any riches.
It's gonna look like cave, like what's the, like moss in their beard and like
maybe, yeah,
like very like unkept beard, like very, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. But and Túrin's like, yeah, you may look poor, but we're poor too. We could just kill you, but if you have something to trade, we can make this work. We could not kill you, I suppose. And Mîm's like, quote, I don't know what you desire, Lord. Like,
Whatever.
Whatever. Yeah. Which Túrin replies, quote, at this time, little enough, a safe place to sleep in out of the damp woods. Doubtless you have such for yourself. You know what I really could use? A house. You don't happen to have one of those, do you? Just like a big house, 4 bedrooms, 4 baths, just your humble, about.
Do you think he's it's like the scene in The Hobbit where Bilbo's like, actually, what would be like he's trying to talk to the what are they called, trolls about like the dwarves. He's like, I think you should do this, like trying to like convince them to do something else to keep him alive.
Mm-hmm. Well, Mîm says, quote, yes, I have a house, but I cannot give it in ransom. I am too old to live under the sky. Yeah, living outside is a young man's game. I can't just give you my house or as much as I want to live. But Androg, the jerkface, has to just threaten Mîm even further, saying, you need grow no older. I can spare you that. And he pulls out a knife. Like, will you just take a hot second and just like go cool down somewhere?
You grow no older. That's pretty hard. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And Mîm, not without reason, gets a little scared, and he says, quote, Lord, if I lose my life, you will lose the dwelling, for you will not find it without Mîm. I cannot give it, but I will share it. There is more room in it than once there was. So many have gone forever. And then he starts to cry. Okay, so one who is hearing this story for the first time, definitely sad points for me. Clearly, he's led a hard life, has lost family along the way, but I know what he's going to do later. And part of me can't help but think he's laying it on just a little thick to try and gain more sympathy and pity. But that just might be me.
Oh, sir, please.
Yeah. Yes. On his knees, hugging Túrin's legs, like, get off.
Okay.
But it works.
Let's try to like keep his feet. He's like, okay, all right, okay.
Yeah. Túrin says, quote, your life is spared, Mîm. But Androg can't help but add, till we come to his lair at least. Like, really, dude? Well, I thought I told you to go take a walk. Like, just calm down.
He's like, ooh. He's like pointing to the side. Oh, I said go. I said go.
Does someone need a nap? Does someone need a Snickers?
What about
But Túrin does put Androg a little in his place here, as he says, quote, if Mîm brings us to his home without trickery, and it is good, then his life is ransomed, and he shall not be slain by any man who follows me. So I swear. Like, if he does what he says, then he is good. Do you hear me? No touching the dwarf. You hear me, Androg?
This is no touching. All right.
Yeah. So this is just more further, evidence that Túrin has this belief in the honor system and like that he has clearly come up from, a home of or a surrounding of morality and principles. And, your word is what you say. And, Androg, I feel like did not have that. So he's just like, he could lie about anything. Mîm. Mîm is still on his knees, grabs Túrin around his knees again in desperation, saying, Mîm will be your friend, Lord. At first I thought you were an elf by your speech and your voice, but if you are a man, that is better. Mîm does not love elves.
Do you think that, in my brain, I know he's a fully formed babe, but like how he's talking, it sounds like Gollum. Like, oh, it's okay. Like,
thank you.
Oh,
yeah. We'll be nice to you if you'll be nice to us. He does talk in third person a lot, which is
Elves are mean to me.
But, the flattering, the pitiful story, I just know what he's going to do later, and it sounds so fake to me right now, and I just don't like it. And we did learn earlier that, elves and petty dwarfs, not the best of friends. So I get it, but still don't like it. Androg, of course, can't stop himself. He even enjoys in the third person talking like Mîm, and he asks Mîm, "Where is this house of yours? It must be good indeed if Androg is to share it with a dwarf, for Androg does not like dwarves. His people brought few good tales of that race out of the east."
Why can't everybody just love each other? Why is everybody so mad and hates everyone? And what is it for me, girls?
But I find it so
just bake a cake full of rainbows for everyone.
I love that for you, Abby, so much. But this is actually interesting that tales of dwarves came to the men before the men migrated to the west and entered Beleriand. So, and that the tales that they did hear were not good. Like, what did they do? Like, they were exiled. They have a bad rep going on. Like, what did these petty dwarves do? I want to know.
They were
so
they stole their vegetables and the ice from their gardens.
So Mîm responds to Androg's rude comments with, quote, "Judge my home when you see it, but you will need light on the way, you stumbling men. I will return in good time and lead you." We've got a little dig in there, like, "You stumbling men."
Yes. Why can't everybody like each other? I'm so
But at this, there's this talk of like coming back later to show them the ways. Like, okay, yeah, I'll be back later, and then I'll fulfill the end of our bargain. And Androg's like, no, you will not allow this, surely, Captain. You would never see their old ratsville again. Like, okay, I don't disagree, Androg, but I'm still not on your side. But I don't disagree with you.
Yes.
Hurin tries to compromise the situation by saying, "It is growing dark. Let him leave us some pledge. Shall we keep your sack in its load, Mîm? Like, we'll keep your sack, and then you'll just come back for it, right? And we know you'll come back. Like, maybe if I offer this gesture in good faith, we can work with each other."
I feel like it's like I'm referencing Pirates of the Caribbean again, where like the assembly all have like guns out, like no one trusts each other, and they're all the same, and they're all like
the guns pointed at each other.
Yeah, they're all like that's the vision in my head, is like they're all like kind of lying, and they're all like, "I can kill you, I can kill you." Like,
so Mîm immediately falls on his knees again, more desperate than ever. He says, "If Mîm did not mean to return, he would not return for an old sack of roots. I will come back. Let me go." So it's like, that stuff in the bag, that's not worth it. I promise I'll come back. I swear. Just give me my sack and I'll go. But luckily, Túrin doesn't fall for it so easily. Like, "I don't care about your sob story. I won't be tricked so easily." He says, quote, "I will not. If you will not part with your sack, you must stay with it. A night under the leaves will make you pity us in your turn, maybe."
Nice.
Like, let's see how you like it out in the cold, and then maybe you'll think more willingly to take us to your home. An interesting note here is that this sack of roots might be more valuable than Mîm is letting on. If he isn't willing to leave it behind even for a night, or willing to, sacrifice it to risk running away. Interesting. We're going to find out later what's in it, but it's an interesting one.
A bag full of kittens.
A bag of kittens? They would hate each other if they were in a bag. So they need a place to stay for the night until they have light, because apparently them as stumbling men couldn't make it to the house in the dark. So the outlaws lead Mîm to their pitiful camp out in the elements. Quote, "And as he went, he muttered in a strange tongue that seemed harsh with ancient hatred. But when they put bonds on his legs, he suddenly went quiet. And those who were on the watch saw him sitting on through the night, silent and still as stone. save for his sleepless eyes that glinted as they roved in the dark. I feel like this is that like bluey, like chilly moment where she's like, you're probably going to regret that. Maybe not the best idea. But, I mean, what else were they supposed to do? He's kind of being untrustworthy. He's being a little shady. So, you know, he made a promise, but can't trust him yet.
You can't trust him.
So, yeah. So, morning comes. The rain has stopped. The sun has come out. The sun is shining. The wind has stopped. It's like a beautiful, shiny day. And, quote, Mîm sat on without moving, and he seemed as if dead, for now the heavy lids of his eyes were closed, and the morning light showed him withered and shrunken with age.
Oh. Is he okay?
I think I killed it. But no. Instead, Túrin is like I don't know why I imagine our mothers waking us up in the morning when we were teenagers. So Túrin's like, hey, it's morning. I think we have enough sunlight now to check out our new house. Let's get going. And Mîm's mood does not match. He's not psyched. And he's just angry. He opens his eyes, looks at Túrin, and he says, quote, learn this, fools. Do not put bonds on a dwarf. He will not forgive it. I do not wish to die, but for what you have done, my heart is hot. I repent my promise.
Say that more often.
Like, nobody tosses a dwarf. Nobody ties up a dwarf. Like, they're really prideful and stubborn, so I imagine tying up one is like the most unforgivable thing one can do. So the fact that he promised to like share his home and like be roommates with these people, it's like, it's gonna be awkward.
No take backs, no take backs.
I literally had that. I was like, because Túrin is still in his like sunshiny mood. He's like, cool, but no take backs. Yeah, I literally wrote that down. Can't triple stamp a double stamp. You will lead me to your home. Till then, we will not speak of death. That is my will. Like, you said you're going to lead me to your home, and you promised, you pinky swore, so we're not going to talk about death. No one's killing no one. And then Túrin gives Mîm the look. He says, quote, he looked steadfastly in the eyes of the dwarf, and Mîm could not endure it. Few indeed could challenge the eyes of Túrin in set will or in wrath. Soon he turned away his head and rose. Says, follow me, lord.
What's that? Have you seen Paddington? The cute movies, Paddington.
I have not, actually.
What? They're so great. You like,
I know.
Love them. Well, if you've seen Paddington, you'll know he does something called, he calls it, that was the hardest stare. And it like scares anybody that he stares at. And they're like, they think they're all tough. And then he stares at them like that. And they're like, whoa, why are you looking at me like that? What do you want? Like, and he's like, I'm sorry I had to do that to you. That's called a hard stare. It's very cute. You need to watch it. Anyway, go on.
I was thinking of like the mom chili look when he means business.
I love
but you know,
really.
Túrin isn't unfeeling. He's more aware of the differences between races and the importance of pride. And he says, quote, but now I will add this. I understand your pride. You may die, but you shall not be put in bonds again. Like, I get it. Being tied up must suck. So I'll tell you what, I'll never tie you up again. But if you do try to escape, we'll just kill you. How about that? Is that okay? Does that work?
Does that sound fair?
Yeah. So Mîm, willing, unwilling, leads them to back where they found him in the first place. And he points to the west and he points to his house. And funny enough, the outlaws have actually seen his home before. And he says, quote, you have often seen it, I guess, for it is tall. Sharbhund, we called it, before the elves changed all the names. Then they saw that he was pointing to Amen Ruth, the bald hill, whose bare head watched over many leagues of the wild. We have seen it, but never nearer, said Androg, for what safe lair can be there, or water, or any other thing that we need? I guessed that there was some trick. Do men hide on a hilltop? Like, that's cool to live on a mountain, but it's not exactly, like, convenient. Like, I don't see a Walmart. There's no Costco anywhere. What kind of reception could it have? Like, there's no concealment. There's no, yeah. So, we're more the lurking and hiding type of outlaws, and this mountain is kind of out in the open. So that's not really going to work for us. But Túrin isn't really tried it off just yet. He says, quote, long sight may be safer than lurking. Amenruth gazes far and wide. Well, Mîm, I will come and see what you have to show. How long will it take us stumbling men to come thither? Like, well, at least we have the high ground. But I do like how he references the comment about them being stumbling men.
So this is Amenruth. Is that what you said? Amenruth?
It's one of those funny DHs that Tolkien likes to sneak in. So it's like Amenruth with a TH sound.
Is that referenced anywhere else in other parts of the book?
It's mainly in Túrin's story. It's kind of like it's a landmark that you could like, oh, we're near, you could see Amenruth and know which way you're going, I guess. Like, it's big enough to see from a ways away, but it's really only mentioned, as far as I remember, in the Silmarillion in Túrin's story.
Okay. All right.
And the reason why it's called the Bald Hill is, quote, its steep gray head was bare, save for the red saragon that mantled the stone. So Amenruth, like, I was Googling it, like, isn't that called something else when it's like a steep mountain and then it has like, is it called a plateau? I Googled, according to the Google, a plateau is it'd be like if it was like a big land mass that was flat, but a mountain that has a flat top with steep sides is called a mesa. And now you all know it. And the red saragon on the top, it's just these kind of flowers that grow in between rocks. And the minute Androg sees this, he says, see, there's blood on the hilltop. I feel like Androg is one of those really superstitious guys. And he's like, blood on the hilltop, it's a bad omen, mate. Like, can't go there.
A bloody mountain? That seems very comforting and homely. Like, yeah. Cozy.
But they're like, instead of being like, stop being stupid, Androg, they're obviously flowers. Like, Túrin says in response, very ominously, not yet.
Oh.
What is that supposed to mean? But as they get closer to the mountain, they're getting more and more confused because, according to Mîm, they wouldn't be able to find his house without his help. But, like, you just pointed to it. We got there. What's so hard about that? But, quote, as Mîm led them on and they began to climb the last steep slopes, they perceived that he was following some path by secret signs or old custom. Now his course wound to and fro, and if they looked aside, they saw that at either hand dark cells and kines opened, or the land ran down into wastes of great stones, with falls and holes masked by bramble and thorn. There, without a guide, they might have labored and clambered for days to find a way. Like, okay, I guess it makes sense. Like,
yeah. Oh, there's secrets. There's secret tunnels.
Yes.
Sound like that scene in The Hobbit where, like, they don't know where they're going and then suddenly Gandalf disappears and he's like, come in here, it's in this hole. Like, this
way you
never see. Yeah. This hole you would never see.
Quote, suddenly there was a rock wall before them, flat-faced and sheer, towering high above them in the dusk. And I don't know why this part sounds so awkward in my brain, this like scene. So they're climbing, and then they get to this rock wall. And Túrin's just like, is this the door of your house? Dwarves love stone, it is said. Like, this is the door, right? Dwarves like rocks, right?
And dwarves love stone. Wow.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that part when in Princess Bride, he's like, I wouldn't buy a summer house here, but the trees are quite lovely. Like, he's like trying to make it like, yeah. He's trying to make it like nice. Trying to be nice about it.
Mm-hmm. So Mîm says, not the door of the house, but the gate of the garth. Then he turned to the right along the cliff foot, and after 20 paces halted suddenly. And Túrin saw that by the work of hands or of weather, there was a cleft so shaped that 2 faces of the wall overlapped, and an opening ran back to the left between them.
Ooh.
So, in my head, it is the scene in the labyrinth where they have the walls that look like it's a wall, but it's actually like forced perspective. And it's like, oh, actually it's 2 walls that overlap a little bit. Yeah. So that made me think of the worm. Hello.
Come inside and make the missus.
That's my favorite part of the whole movie. Quote, from the cleft a path led, and passed soon into a little grove of dwarfed birches growing about a clear pool in a rock-hewn basin. This pool was fed by a spring at the foot of the wall behind, and through a runnel it spilled like a white thread over the western brink of the shelf. So, like, it has a pool, it's got a water source.
They have dwarf trees.
Awesome. They have dwarf trees. Yeah, I did find that funny. So Mîm allows them to enter his home, and he's like, you know what? We're going to give it a new name. We're going to call this now the House of Ransom, because that's kind of what the whole deal is about. And Túrin, and Túrin is like, cool, let me check it out first before I agree to call this our new home. Quote, then he went in with Mîm, and the others, seeing him unafraid, followed behind, even Androg, who most misdoubted the dwarf. They were soon in a black dark. And that's where I'm going to leave it today. In a dark cave. It's like tour all over again.
I'm trying to remember, like, what the story is from the Silmarillion. And I know that it doesn't end up great. I'm just trying to, like, I don't want, because it's hard to say, like, I can't say spoiler because, like, you already read about it.
Right. So the thing with this part in the Silmarillion, it's literally, like, it's so funny how I just went through, like, a whole probably, like, page and a half of text, and this was probably, I don't know, 5 paragraphs.
So, in the Silmarillion, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know how, like, what else they can expound on in this story about the dwarves and about Túrin. Like, what different perspective we're going to get, or different side of the story, or maybe different story altogether.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Mîm definitely does get a lot more dialogue in the Unfinished Tales. Like, literally, the Silmarillion was like, and they came across 3 dwarves, and then one of the guys let fly an arrow, but they found another dwarf. His name was Mîm. Pleaded for his life, offered them to lead them to his house. Túrin pitied him. Then they went to the house, and then, yeah, they got to the house. Like
and then some stuff went down, and
yeah. But it was really funny. Like, it literally is, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 it would be generous to call them paragraphs.
Yeah.
That we just went over in an entire episode.
Because
that's the Unfinished Tales, though, for you. That's a great example of how different it can be.
True. And I still love the footnote of, like, I'm tired. Please look this up yourself. I really don't want to have to write this in here.
Yeah.
I love that.
See the version I already wrote earlier.
Yeah.
Please. I don't want to have to explain it again. I can't come up with anything better than what I already did. So just go look at that.
I'm so tired.
All right. So thank you for joining us today. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. If you want to send us an email, you're always welcome to. Please be nice. That is the one thing that we are pretty adamant about in our podcast is just to be nice to everyone, especially to us, because we are very sensitive. Our email is sistersoftheshirepodcast@gmail.com. Huge thank you to our patrons, Dan, Christine, and Tom. We really appreciate your continued support. If you want to join them, you can head over to patreon.com/Sisters of the Shire Podcast. For $3 a month, you can become an elf friend. For $7 a month, you can become a dwarf friend. And for $9 a month, you become a man friend, woman friend of the Shire. Your support just helps keep us going in this. It helps cover our costs of the programs that we have to use. Other expenses, and we do this mainly for fun, but it's nice to be able to compensate for some of the expenses that we have to use, and not stress about it. Exactly. And you know what, if you can't join our Patreon, we get it. If you could just help us out another way, just leave a rating or review on your favorite podcast platform, or just tell your friends about us. I'm sure that you have more than one person in your life that loves Tolkien, and you'd be like, actually, I know a podcast for you.
I go to ballet with my daughter. There's a bunch of teenagers and like young adult women there that are doing ballet too. And there was a girl in there, and she was like a break time, and she pulled out, I think it was The Lord of the Rings, like The Return of the King or something like that, like a big book of like, I was like, that's like, it was just her, like this like teenager. She thought would be like 16 or something, and she was in her like ballet leotard and like all her stuff, and she was just reading Lord of the Rings in the corner. I'm like, yes,
I love it. In world news, Netherlands overtook Canada. What have you been doing, Tom? Been listening to us? Have you been listening to us? Miss you, Tom. Singapore has been. We're getting there. He's gonna do one of the sections. We already decided it. It's just not this section. We'll get to that. Singapore. It went from like 31st, 28th, 25th, 20th, and now it is in the top 15. It is 15th. Singapore. What do you know? This is from Singapore. You were awesome, and we appreciate you.
That's
and also. Just, I don't know why I think of the Pirates of the Caribbean every time I say your name. Singapore. Who else moved up? Russia overtook Ukraine, Poland, and New Zealand. So it's 32nd now. And that's about, that is it. That is it in world news. I'm done.
My bucket list is getting someone from Antarctica.
Do it. Bucket list.
Well, thank you for teaching me today.
You are welcome. Until next time, I've been Ashley.
And I've been Abby. And this has been the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. And we're so glad you joined us today. And we hope you can join us next time. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for teaching me a day.
Yay!